What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am back. You have to put up with me once again today. We already went live for 2 hours earlier today with Joe from JTM Volleyball. Talked about some USA ball, net touches, and a whole bunch more. So if you haven't checked that out yet, after you watch this, go check that out. Okay? I won't lie. This has been a long day. It's been a long week. Covering these men's world championships, and as they all get a day off, we don't. This is when we double down, and this is when we go harder, and this is when we get a double episode day. All right, and today we are going to be doing none other than the Volleyball Source Discord Awards. Now, if you are unfamiliar with our Discord page, what are you doing? Join it. The link is down below. And now for every big event, end of the league, we generally do awards, and we generally vote on all-stars. And now this is a little bit early, doing it through the group stage. But there was people in the Discord wanted it, and of course, as always, big shout out to Chem, Rodman's hair of Chemi for putting this all together. All I'm doing, like, I do none of it. He sets up the Google Doc. He puts it out there. All I do is tag everyone on the Discord, and y'all vote. So this one is completely just the vote of the Discord, but I actually agree that you guys did a pretty good job on voting on this one. I didn't have to change anything, and there's only one that I was going to change. If you guys had voted Gianni as being the stooge, I would have made you all the stooges. As I said in the Discord, if Gianni was voted as the number one stooge, you guys would have been the stooges for voting in Gianni. But you didn't, and you agreed with me on my original pick. And I have to say, I think you guys did a really, really good job at voting on all of these, okay? You felt dirty submitting your ballot. I will say, as some people are pointing out, that this was the wildest all-star voting that we have ever done, just because there was like usually it's always the same players, it's always the same mix of players, but this time I really like how people were pointing out the actual good performances and actual good players from the first round, and just weren't going with the normal, Polish or Italian or French guys. I mean, if anyone had picked any of the French guys, there would have been an issue, okay? So I'm glad there's only one athlete, I think, from a team who isn't moving on to the round of 16. But when you get there, I think that you guys will all agree. Jalix, can you explain what stooge means? Stooge is something that came from the 9x9 podcast. I do believe one of the OG stooges is Roberto Piazza, which no, Berkay, a stooge is not a flop. Okay, we'll get that here quickly. Stooge in general is kind of like a stupid or a silly person. Okay, someone who makes poor decisions. And now, at the time when we were doing this, I was watching a lot of Pat McAfee, and I was watching a lot of the Pat McAfee show, and I was just kind of he called a lot of people stooges, almost in the same way that I use boomers, right? Generally for just like older people who aren't really with it. He would call a lot of people stooges in like NFL references. Now, I don't cover the NFL, I cover volleyball. So I started using to call usually coaches stooges for just their silly choices, whether it's, in-game decisions or roster movements or whatever it is. So we use the word stooge a lot. A fool. Thank you, Anna. That's a much better. Stupid person is far too hard with it. As I said, guys, it has been a long week, but it's been a really fun week. Okay, it's been an absolutely awesome week, and I do want to thank everyone who's been watching and following along and participating in the Discord and everything. It's been awesome. But yeah, that is what a stooge means. Now, usually we have a few more superlative awards. Now, Chem didn't really have the time. Like, we put this all together in 24 hours. And so we're just going to go over the really basic one, and we'll go down a little bit more intense, and we'll get a little bit more into it at the end of the turn-in. But for now, we're going to do our group stage all-stars, and then we'll also do a couple of the superlatives at the end. And once again, these are not my picks. They are the picks from the Discord. This is a community thing. This is all voted upon. Once again, big shout out to Cemi are one of our resident Turkish fans. You know, I'm over my disappointment of Canada losing to Türkiye, so we can all be friends again. And I wish you the best of luck tomorrow morning against the Dutch, and I hope you wish us the best of luck as we go to upset Poland. Okay. Now, without any further ado, let's just jump into it and let's start talking about the first team. We did a first team and a second team. We're going to start here with the first team. And now, usually, I think there's only about, actually, now that you look at it, I think it's a little better than I would have expected. Starting off at the setter position, we have Luciano Cecco. Outside number one, Luciano Cecco from Argentina. I guess I should specify what country exactly they're from. Outside number one, we have Aleks Nikolov. Outside number two, Aleks Nikolov from Bulgaria. Outside number two, we have Luka Martilla from Finland. A lot of Finns here on this first team. Our libero is going to be Erik Shoji from the USA. Opposite is Ferre Reggers from Belgium. Middle blockers are Jan Kozamernik from Slovenia and Petteri Tyynismaa of Finland. And then we have their coach, Olli Kunnari, coming in as the first team coach for the group stage. Which honestly, guys, I think we did a pretty good job. I think, the coach, there was a number of people on there. And I will warn you guys that there was 2 coaches voted in for the second team, and I missed that. I missed one of them when I was copying and pasting, and I missed one completely. But we will talk about him. We will talk about him because I do think they all deserve some recognition. So, I mean, I think we're going to start just on the top of this menu at Luciano Cecco as a setter, and now this man has been absolute chef's kiss in this tournament. And now we can't be that surprised. He is one of the best of all time in the setting position. And I don't know what people were expecting. To be honest, though, this has been absolute vintage Luciano Cecco. He has been unreal in his play, and you can just tell. I honestly think that he's just out there having fun with it. Key Michael, of course, one of the absolutely loveliest people and one of the best commentators we have. Unfortunately, she's done for the men's tournament. They're going down to a 3-person team. Put out a little Instagram today, or maybe it was yesterday, of the entire Argentinian team warming up and getting ready. And there's just Cecco sitting along the side, just with a really content smile on his face. And, her caption is like, when it's your 6th world championship, which I hadn't really figured out that he has been playing since 2006. I was going through all of the world championships that I watched today when I did my live earlier with Joe, and this is my 5th. He's been playing longer than I've been watching volleyball, which is absolutely wild to me. And I do think that, I just think he's out there having fun. He's made some crazy one-handed digs. That one-handed set where just came and he popped up out of Kukartsev against France has been absolutely unreal. But the thing is that his team has been incredible, right? His team's numbers have been outstanding. When you look at their kill percentage and efficiency as a team, they're hitting 48% as a team, and with a 35% efficiency, which, considering their group that they are in, is really, really good, having to play teams like Finland and France and going through multiple of 5 setters. And then, of course, now when we're talking about the setting stats, I still don't know what we're talking about. Like, what's a successful set? What's an attempt? How do we determine this? What is the determination in terms of setters for this? But Cecco, any way you put it, was ranked number 1 at 137 successful sets. Apparently, he only had 1 error. Once again, I don't know what a setting error is, especially now that we don't have any double touches. So yeah, I don't really know what it is, but at the end of the day, I don't think that there's any question whatsoever that Cecco has been in his absolute bag and been the best setter in this tournament. It has been really impressive to watch. It will probably be his last tournament with the national team, and I'm just soaking it all up in. I got to watch him a couple of years ago. Was it 2023? I think in the VNL in Ottawa, and he's just pure magic. He really is. I don't think maybe Ricardinho, but even then that was a little bit different, a little bit more aggressive. To Cecco just floats out there. He was absolutely. It is a pleasure to watch him play, and I don't think that we made the wrong decision whatsoever as having Luciano de Cecco as the first team All-Star. Okay, now moving on from the setting position to the opposite position. They both start in one, usually play on that right side of the court. If you are not aware of Ferre Reggers and what he was able to do, right? If I posted in the Discord earlier this week, like, oh, who do you think what some of your best new players are? And you wrote Ferre Reggers, I know that you don't watch professional volleyball. I know that you just watch the international season, which is fine, which is perfectly fine. But it just means that maybe, just maybe, you need to keep that VBTV subscription a little bit longer, as much as I hate to say it, and watch some of the men's Superlega in Italy, because this man has been doing this consistently now for 2 seasons with Milano. He is an absolute scoring machine, and I don't think it's out of the question to consider him as one of the best, if not the best opposite in the world right now. He can score consistently. He is an absolute threat at all times. And what is maybe a little bit why people maybe don't necessarily follow him as much is just because he's really steady. He doesn't really do anything outstanding. Like, he doesn't bounce big balls all that much. And, he does block, but he's not necessarily getting huge blocks throughout the games. But he is just an absolute scoring machine. He is number 1 for kills and for points so far in this tournament. He has been absolutely dominating. He's averaging 6. Oh, he's actually not number 1 for kills. I apologize. That is another player on the first team. But he's averaging 6.64 points per set while averaging 5.64 for kills per set. And he has been unreal. And the thing that surprises me the most is really his efficiency, right? Throughout the tournament, he's got hitting a 57% positive with a 44% efficiency. He's only made 5 unforced inning errors, and that was all in the game in Italy, where he had 53 swings for 27 kills. He also has 7 blocks and 4 aces. He is the real deal. He is the truth. And I think that Belgium has a really good chance of making it all the way. Now, I've talked about their team quite a bit, with especially the talent that they have on the left side with Roti and Sam Deroux. But really, if Belgium is able to make a run in this tournament, and they have the ability to do that, especially like Belgium, it's not out of the question for them to be able to get to a semifinal match, playing Finland in the first round and the winner of Italy, Argentina in the second round. Round of 16 and the quarterfinals. But it's going to be done on the back of Ferre Reggers, no doubt about it. And he's a young guy. Right, this is a guy who can continue to play for Belgium and for other pro teams for a long time. Ferre Reggers is the truth. 62 points so far through 3 matches has been absolutely unreal, and keep a watch out for him as we continue. Another guy who has been absolutely incredible in the offensive department has to be Aleks Nikolov. He is the one who actually leads the tournament in offense. He's averaging 5.73 points in attacking with 63 kills. He has been unreal, and it has been an absolute masterclass by Aleks Nikolov for them to win a really, really tough pool with Germany and Slovenia, right? 2 other VNL teams, and Aleks Nikolov is the centerpiece of that offense. He is an overall plus 48 for the tournament, plus 21 against Germany, plus 12 against Slovenia, and plus 18 against Chile. 28 points against Germany and 26 points against Slovenia. He also had 14 or 15 points in that 40-38 first set win against Germany. And, he is the centerpiece of their offense, and unreal. He's hitting a 55% hitting and a 42% efficiency. His hitting against Chile was absolutely ridiculous. He went 15 for 18 with no errors, hitting an 83% efficiency. He also has 5 aces. on the tournament. If you didn't vote, in my opinion, if you didn't vote Ferre Reggers or Aleks Nikolov, you haven't been watching this tournament. Okay, that is like anyone else. There could have been other choices, no doubt about it. Even to Cecco, I think you could have gone with like a Moni or maybe even a Fedor Ivanov from Argentina, which is the way they plays. But if you didn't pick either Ferre Reggers or Aleks Nikolov, I don't think you've been watching this tournament, and you can say whatever you want. I think it is what it is. Moving on to the next outside hitter position, I think that there could have been a few different guys here, but I think Luka Martilla and the way that he has been able to carry this Finnish team, and the Finns maybe one of the biggest surprises, going to 5 with Argentina, almost beating them, right? Almost beating Argentina, going to 5 against them, and then taking down France to be able to move on in this pool has been really, really impressive. Really, really impressive. And now he's passing, like he's taking a lot of reps in serve receive. He's passing 56% positive, which is really, really good. Up there with some of the best in the tournament, but offensively he's been fantastic as well. He's averaging 4.14 points per set and 3.57 points per set. He's 5th in attacking and 6th in scoring. Has really, really just been carrying his team. And what surprises me the most about Martilla is how they love to go to him in breakpoint situations. Like, he is a guy who can absolutely ball out when he needs to. Like, when they need points the most, they go to Luka Martilla, and it's been really impressive. I am kind of wondering where all of this was. So I'll stop playing with this. I'm very fidgety right now. He is someone that I was really, really impressed with, especially compared to what he did with Monza this past year. I thought he really struggled with Monza. I was wondering if he had the quality to be in the Superliga. Now I have no doubt about it with what we've seen from these World Championships. Yeah, I think it has been really, really impressive what we've seen from Luka Martilla so far. Moving over to the other side of this, well, I guess we'll talk about his teammate now, Petteri Tyynismaa. And Tyynismaa is a guy that really came out of nowhere. He was massive in the match against Argentina, 10 for 14 in attacking, hitting a 71% with a 57% efficiency. Now, that I think is really, really good, especially because Argentina is pretty strong down the middle. You know, you've got Agustin Lozer, who's maybe on this list. I don't know. And then, you know, both Gallego and Zerba are good down the middle. So the fact that they are giving him that much volume really says loads. He also had 6 blocks. 6 blocks in that match. He is a big body, and he knows how to take away space. Really, really impressive. You know, and what I think one of the most impressive things about the Finnish team has been some of their guys who are making the biggest impact in terms of like a guy like Petteri Tyynismaa or Jonas Jokela are both guys who came from the Finnish league. Tyynismaa is going to be going and playing the German league this year for Düren, so I'm going to be really, really interested to see how he does. But at the same time, big ups for Petteri Tyynismaa. He has been really fantastic to watch and has really put himself on the map in terms of one of the biggest breakout stars and a name that no one really knew before coming into this one. His other middle blocker is someone that, once again, if you're aware of international or pro volleyball, you should be fully aware of this man right here, Kozamernik. Jan Kozamernik of Slovenia has to be one of the best middles in the world, top 5, top 3. I'm not entirely sure where I would put him right now. I'd have to sit down and do some thinking on that, and I haven't really done that. But Kozamernik is just a really steady presence for Slovenia. And while, you know, his points at the middle, 29 points, isn't absolutely massive, he has just been outstanding offensively. No unforced errors, only been blocked 3 times. Overall, in the tournament so far, he's 17 to 24. He's hitting a 71% with a 58% efficiency, and has 11 blocks, including 5 against Germany in a really, really big win for them that move things on. So Jan Kozamernik is the second middle blocker on this list. And then as we continue to move on, Erik Shoji gets voted in as the top libero. This one might have been a bit of a popularity contest, but I think it's really hard to judge the liberos. Now, Shoji has been very, very good in reception Very, very good in reception. He's ranked 5th in the tournament with a 63% positive passing rate, behind guys like Martinez Franchi from Argentina, Luati, and Grebennikov. Also Tizit Farouk of Algeria. But I don't necessarily disagree with this. I think that, yeah, I think this one might have been a popularity contest. Everyone knows Erik, and it's hard to judge Libero sometime. And I feel like people didn't really want to vote in Grebennikov just because his team lost. Even though Grebennikov is like 3rd in receptions and 2nd in digs for this tournament. But makes sense. He didn't win, so can't have him on the second team. And then finally, the first team coach, Olli Kunnari from Finland. I think there was a few other people that also could have had this, but you can't doubt what this Finnish team and their coach has been able to do. 2 really tough 5-setters, and to be able to make it out that group, essentially eliminating the 2-time defending champs France. Got to give it up to Mr. Kunnari and Finland. All right, now moving on to the second team. We'll go through this list a little bit. Simeon Nikolov from Bulgaria is the setter. On the outside, Bryan Bagunas from Philippines. He is the one player who will not be moving on to the second round, who is on this list, and I think rightly so. Anyone who's watched the Philippines will fully agree that he deserves to be here. Luciano Palonsky of Argentina is going to be beside him. In the libero position, we have Gorik Lantsoght. I'm not entirely sure if we've pronounced that properly, but he was absolutely unreal for Belgium in their win against Italy. Just hustled. That's why they outdug them and outplayed them on defense. And I think he has really raised his stock with his play so far here in this tournament. In the opposite position, Patrik Indra. Indra over Addis, 100%. Indra has carried his team. Indra has been ridiculous in offense throughout this tournament, and like I don't disagree with this whatsoever. I think there could have been some guys, maybe Jokela from Finland. I know some people have been pretty high on Michel Ayi as well from the Netherlands, but Indra has carried his team and really put his team on his back, especially in the that last match against China when they didn't have Lukas Vashina. But Indra is currently averaging 5.44 points per set, and his attacking has been lights out as well, 4.67 kills per set. He's actually up there in terms of one of the highest averages for points amongst all of these guys, but they just played a lot less sets because they got either they got 3-donged or they were 3-donging people. So a lot less sets out there for Indra. And I know all of you Turks out there are so mad that Addis Lagumja isn't getting picked. And I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. I also went for Indra and in Ferre Reggers. Addis so far has been averaging 4.5 points per set and 3.8 kills per set. And I think for me, both Indra and Ferre Reggers have led their team's offense consistently throughout all of them. Whereas on Türkiye, there's been a little bit of sharing. There was a little bit of sharing in there. Berkay is just going off in the chat. No surprise over there, but I don't disagree with that. Sorry, I didn't actually finish the list. Grozdanov from Bulgaria, Agustin Lozer from Argentina, and then finally the coaches were Slobodan Kovac of Türkiye, but then also Zanini from Belgium. I just couldn't fit him in, and also just completely forgot. So I apologize to Mr. Zanini. You do deserve to be there as well. But then we go through some of these guys. Bryan Bagunas has really been outstanding in what he was able to do. It's really a shame that this team wasn't able to move on to the round of 16. I've already said my piece on that. If you want to go check out my earlier podcast with Joe from JTM Volleyball. But Bryan Bagunas has been outstanding. 70 points, third overall in scoring, averaging 5.83 points per set. Which is also one of the highest averages, third highest average in the tournament. And then on the attacking side, he has 61 kills, only one behind Reggers, two behind Nikolov, while averaging 5.08 kills per set. Where is he? How's he done on the reception side? Haven't really seen him on the reception side, but I think that Bagunas, for me, as not only the numbers, but just the way that he inspired his team and the way that he led his team. As I said, I wasn't really expecting the Philippines to win a set after the way that they played against Tunisia. And not only did they go out and beat Egypt, who was at the Olympics just 1 year ago, but they also should have beat Iran. And in my opinion, they did. Okay, so I fully agree with this. Bryan Bagunas deserves to be. I actually wouldn't have been surprised if he was in the first team either. I guess the Filipinos weren't able to get into the Discord quick enough to really vote him in, but fully deserves to be here. I'm very excited to see what he can do with Osaka Blue Tion in the SVL in this upcoming season. So big ups to him. The next guy there, we have Luciano Palonsky. I think that this one is maybe a little bit more of not a popularity vote, but people see how good he's been and ended up voting for him. I mean, I think the best match that we've seen from an outside this year, or this tournament, from an Argentinian has to be Vicentin against France. But Palonsky has been super solid. His serve receive has been really good, 56% positive, 25% perfect. He's also hitting at a pretty high clip. He's hitting at a 48% with a 37% efficiency. So also one of the nicest guys out there. I got a lot of love for Luciano Palonsky. I, much like Burkai, actually voted for Nuno Marques in my second position. I thought that the way that he led Portugal and the way that he showed up was really, really impressive. And he's the big reason that Portugal beat Cuba and is moving on. But this isn't my list. Once again, this is the Discord's list. This is a community vote. And yeah, it is. And of course, Goran Redzic comes in. The Serbians coming in all mad that their team showed up for exactly one match against Brazil, and that their guys don't get voted in. You don't get 3-donged by Belgium and then tell me, like, you beat Belgium you got lost to Belgium, and then you beat China and mourning Brazil. So yeah, Luberic was really, really good in one match, and that's about it. So and not to mention the rest of that Serbian team is really good as well. So Serbs, y'all need to do a little bit better than just, one big match against Brazil to be voted in here. Yeah, it was one good match against a mourning team. Yeah, Patrik Indra toasted you guys completely and 3-donged you guys. And you know what? If it goes to Serbia, Czechia once again in the quarterfinals, I expect them to do it again. But real talk, Redzic, good to see you in the chat. It's been a while. Always much love. Where was I? I completely got lost. Oh, yeah. I did talk about Patrik Indra a little bit earlier, so no need to touch on him. And then down the middle we have Agustin Lozère and Aleks Grozdanov. Lozère, as always, this is one of the best middles in the world. He has 32 points throughout this tournament so far. Offensively, hasn't been that efficient, only hitting at 57% with a 40% efficiency, which for the middle hasn't been great. But I find that, like, in big situations, they go to Lozère in transition, and I absolutely love it. I also voted for the Portuguese Svetanin. I don't know that's pronounced the name. I thought that he was really, really fantastic. But once again, not my vote. This is the Discord. Okay. And I actually don't mind having Lozère out there. And then on the other side, we also have Aleks Grozdanov, who I think this one was more of they remembered how good the Bulgarian middles were. Once again, I would have picked Svetanin. Grozdanov has 19 points through the first matches. He's only swinging a 42% with a 38% efficiency, but he does have 9 blocks, with 4 coming from that Germany match and 3 against Slovenia. So, going to be a lot of fun to watch Grozdanov battle for a spot at Lublin this year, alongside Finn McCarthy and Danon Kofi-Gima, both of Canada. And then finally, rounding out this roster, as I said, we had head coach Slobodan Kovac from Türkiye, and then also, what's Zanini's first name? Why do I keep on blanking on what his first name here? I'll look it up. I know it's in my notes here. Emanuele Zanini. So Emanuele Zanini, I mean, I don't think you can say much about how Belgium has been playing, but we've known this for a while, right? This is a team that was a hair away from qualifying for the 2024 Paris Olympics, right? And did such a good job by upsetting so many teams like Canada, like Argentina. This was a team that could have been there in Paris and just narrowly missed out. This is a very, very good team, and they have been for a little bit while. And Zanini has some really good options at his disposal, but still, to come back and beat Italy after being up 2-0, then evening it out at 5, and the way they played in that 5th set, a lot of respect goes to Zanini. But I also voted for Slobodan Kovac. Actually, he was my first round pick, and I just think that when you look at Türkiye and how well they're doing compared to the VNL, and the change that this team has made from the VNL to the World Championships, it has been night and day. And you know what? Today, earlier in my podcast, when I was talking with Joe, I was saying that I do think that part of the reason why Türkiye was so good against us is that we just really had no film, right? We had no film on this new Turkish team, right? There's a big difference between how this team is run now with under Kovac than before with Umut Kakir. So I really think that in terms of the improvement from what we saw from like Türkiye to now, like they won as many games in the World Championships, like 3 for 3, and they went 3 for 9 in the VNL. So really a massive improvement. In the VNL, I would have never thought that they would have been able to go 3-0 against us in Japan, but they did, and they looked really good, and they were hands down the best team in the pool. So you really need to give a good shout out to Slobodan Kovac for all of that. I've been saying for a while, and people have been saying in the Discord as well for a while, that Türkiye has the horses. Türkiye has the horses, and then now they have the coaching. So I think this one could be very, very interesting. That quarterfinal matchup with Canada again, no, with Poland again, will be interesting. And I think it should be fun. I do think that they're going to take care of business, as the first match of the round of 16 is tomorrow morning for me at 3:30, whereas later on this evening, I guess it's early in the morning for all of you in Europe. Okay. And then finally, the coaches. We already talked about that. Great. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up. We have only 2 of our superlatives. Of course, the good old Nicolas Vives Award for excellence in stoogery has to go to Laurent Tillie. As I said before, if you guys had voted in Andrea Gianni for whatever was at the end of yesterday's game against Argentina, I think you guys would have been absolutely off the mark, and I would have clowned you all. And I literally would have put in the Discord for this match, for this. Okay. I don't think that there's any doubt. No, Lucarelli isn't robbed. Y'all are so, honestly, you Turks are so sensitive. For people who love just yelling and love having a Karakurt who goes nutso when she goes block out against Korea, I think that there is like no doubt about it in my mind that Laurent Tillie should have been the stooge. You're talking about a Japanese team who couldn't win a set against Türkiye or Canada. And I don't want to hear any excuses about not having their best players, right? Canada was missing more starters than Japan was. Like, you still had Kento Miura, you still have Ishikawa and Ran, right? Remember when a couple years ago you guys were coming at me saying Ran was the best player ever and needed to be MVP? How did that work out for y'all? But for me, the reason why I think 100% Tillie has been the biggest stooge of this tournament is just go back and watch his interviews. Go back and watch his, like, how he was in timeouts. He seemed despondent. He seemed disassociated, right? After they lose to Turkey, it's like, oh, well, it happens. You lose some games sometimes. It's like, bro, you don't have a lot of room to lose games. You've only got 3 of them. There seemed to be no sense of urgency from that team. And the biggest thing that got me, especially when, we started looking at, especially because I've got to see both Farhat Akbaş and Vital Heinen coach in person this year and see how they manage coaching through a translator, right? It's funny, Heinen is actually telling me that he can speak Chinese, but his accent or something makes it so that, like, the Chinese guys don't really listen to him, so he still has to communicate through an interpreter. But both of those men would communicate very succinctly and directly, and say something, let the interpreter talk, say something and let the interpreter talk. Whereas watching Tillie in timeouts was just, he would just talk and just talk about nothing. It was so weird to just see him kind of floating through. And this is a guy who's been coaching in the SV League now for like 4 or 5 years. He's not a guy who's like new to coaching in Japanese. So I don't really know what was happening out there. There seems to be a bit of a disconnect with what Tillie was trying to do with this Japanese team and what was actually happening on the court. And that's why I think one of the reasons why, we've seen Japan not move on in this tournament. And then finally, the best match of the tournament undoubtedly has to go to Belgium, Italy. It was exciting from the beginning. Belgium came out really, really aggressive, put Italy on their heels, made them make some subs. We even saw Fefe De Giorgi change up the lineup. Gianelli got subbed out for literally the first, I have never seen Gianelli get subbed out. Even when he was having an absolute mental breakdown against France at the Olympics, while, they're trying to get his team together and he's just off doing whatever he wants to do, he wouldn't pull Gianelli out. So it was really interesting to see Gianelli come out. They brought in Rich Licky and they brought in Spertoli and they made a nice little run. And then that 5th set was just a lot of bangs on each side, bang after bang, and they just went at each other. And big ups for Belgium for taking that one home. And I think a lot of people voted for this one. Also, a lot of people voted for the Philippines-Iran match that went to 5, 22-20 in favor of Iran in the 5th set. Once again, it was an absolute heartbreaker for the Philippines, who thought they had won it at 2018. If you want to hear my thoughts on that, you can go watch my video from earlier today. And yeah, I honestly cannot wait for what is to come from the next from the round of 16 in the quarterfinals, because I think we have some really, really interesting matchups all throughout. And I will be doing a watch along tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for Canada versus Poland. I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a better one than you were expecting. When we played Poland earlier this summer, we pushed them to 5, right? And I'm just going to say that Canada's played really, really well in bounce back matches. Our other 2 worst matches of the summer was against the U.S., then we pushed Poland to 5 in Chicago, and then against Serbia, which, had we won that game against Serbia, we would have been able to go to the finals actually and go to the VNL playoffs. But after losing to Serbia, we bounced back with a really, really strong win against Ukraine, who surprised everyone this year. So I really think that we're going to see a really, really good Canadian team tomorrow. And who knows? Maybe we get our first win ever against Poland. Who knows? But thank you for everyone who's been watching along. Thank you for everyone who tuned in today. I will see you all tomorrow. Okay? Peace. I love you all. Bye.